For the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'll be. Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me, so good to me. Yeah, wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness. Yahweh's been good to me, so good to me. Every morning that I rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my fringes. 1611 with me cause I'm on a mission. Talking sheep, I pay the cost, me and my lines really live it. I don't need no glory, you don't have to know my story. Glad I made it out this world cause this world was never for me. I thought that I was. If it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'd be. Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me, so good to me. Yeah, wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness. Yahweh's been good to me, so good to me. Every morning that I rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my fringes. 1611 with me cause I'm on a mission. Talking sheep, I pay the cost, me and my lines really live it. I don't need no glory, you don't have to know my story. Glad I made it out this world cause this world was never for me. I thought that I was. If it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'd be. Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me, so good to me. Yeah, wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness. Yahweh's been good to me, so good to me. Every morning that I rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my fringes. 1611 with me cause I'm on a mission. Talking sheep, I pay the cost, me and my lines really live it. I don't need no glory, you don't have to know my story. Glad I made it out this world cause this world was never for me. I thought that I was. If it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'd be. Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me, so good to me. Yeah, wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness. Yahweh's been good to me, so good to me. Every morning that I rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my fringes. 1611 with me cause I'm on a mission. Talking sheep, I pay the cost, me and my lines really live it. I don't need no glory, you don't have to know my story. Glad I made it out this world cause this world was never for me. I thought that I was. If it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'd be. Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me, so good to me. Yeah, wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness. Yahweh's been good to me, so good to me. Every morning that I rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my fringes. 1611 with me cause I'm on a mission. Talking sheep, I pay the cost, me and my lines really live it. I don't need no glory, you don't have to know my story. Glad I made it out this world cause this world was never for me. I thought that I was. If it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'd be. Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me, so good to me. Yeah, wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness. Yahweh's been good to me, so good to me. Every morning that I rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my fringes. 1611 with me cause I'm on a mission. Talking sheep, I pay the cost, me and my lines really live it. I don't need no glory, you don't have to know my story. Glad I made it out this world cause this world was never for me. I thought that I was. If it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'd be. Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me, so good to me. Yeah, wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness. Yahweh's been good to me, so good to me. Every morning that I rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my fringes. 1611 with me cause I'm on a mission. Talking sheep, I pay the cost, me and my lines really live it. I don't need no glory, you don't have to know my story. Glad I made it out this world, cause this world was never for me. I thought that I was. If it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'd be. Mr. Wilson would've known. Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me. So good to me. Yeah. Wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness. Yeah, how it's been good to me. So good to me. Every morning that I rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my fringes. 1611 with me cause I'm on a mission. Talking sheep, I pay the cost, me and my lines really live it. I don't need no glory, you don't have to know my story. Glad I made it out this world, cause this world was never for me. I thought that I was. If it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'd be. Mr. Wilson would've known. Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me. So good to me. Yeah. Wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness. Yeah, how it's been good to me. So good to me. Every morning that I rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my fringes. 1611 with me cause I'm on a mission. Talking sheep, I pay the cost, me and my lines really live it. I don't need no glory, you don't have to know my story. Glad I made it out this world, cause this world was never for me. I thought that I was.
Shalom, shalom, Israel. Welcome back to Bible Basics. This mic is a little hot. Tonight, we're going to be going over unlawful marriages and fornication, starting off in Leviticus 18. So one of the things is, for one, this unfortunately tends to be a prevalent topic within our community, but in the same way in our history, we were coming out of Egypt, which they were known for what? They were known for idolatrous feasts that oftentimes involved sex somehow within the feast, right? A lot of homosexuality. Egypt was known for their rampant homosexuality, as well as forms of incest. You know, certain Egyptian gods are believed to have been born from, you know, this person having, you know, laying with their mother or, you know, their uncle or whatever the case may be. They have a lot of different gods or deities where, you know, they came about by some weird or incestual relationship. And so if they're looking at these deities and these idols as their gods, and they see that that's happening amongst their gods, how much more do you think it was happening amongst them as a society, right? But that's not going to be where we're going into, but we are going to go into what the Bible says about how we are to conduct ourselves and our relationships after leaving Egypt. So we're going to start off at Leviticus chapter 18. We're going to read the vast majority of this chapter, if not the whole thing. Starting off at verse 1, it says, "And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, I am the Lord your God. After the doings of the land of Egypt, wherein ye dwelt, shall ye not do. And after the doings of the land of Canaan, whither I bring you, shall ye not do. Neither shall you walk in their ordinances." So a lot of the things that Egypt, Canaan, the heathen were engaged in, Israel being in captivity, would start to pick up on, start to learn, start to practice. Nothing different from what we see today, right? Hookup culture is huge, fornication is huge, adultery is huge. It's in the movies, right? Everyone's starting to notice a lot of the ideals behind what they consider to be romance is a woman falling in love and committing adultery. That's like most of the movies that are considered romantic, that tends to be the theme, right? So a lot of our people have normalized this. It's in the music, Mr. Steal Your Girl, I Got Your Girl Doing. It's just all over the place, right? And so in the same way that we're living in a country that's living abominable according to what the Most High's word is, our people back then dwelt in countries or were around people that had the same practices. So he said, don't do after the land of Egypt. And when you go to Canaan or when you're around the Canaanites, don't participate in the practices and things that they do. He said, verse 4, ye shall do my judgments and keep my ordinances to walk therein. I am the Lord your God. Ye shall therefore keep my statutes and my judgments, which if a man do, he shall live in them. I am the Lord. None of you shall approach to any that is near of kin to him to uncover their nakedness. I am the Lord. The nakedness of thy father or the nakedness of thy mother thou shalt not uncover. She is thy mother, thou shalt not uncover her nakedness. Can we drop this mic down just a little bit? So this is pretty obvious, but you do see really horrible instances of wickedness amongst, so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, different countries that people are dwelling in. Nonetheless, the law remains true and reigns supreme regardless of where and when we're reading, right? It says, the nakedness of thy father's wife shalt thou not uncover. It is thy father's nakedness. So not only directly with your parents, but obviously, stepmother, stepfather, all of those things are wrong to try and engage with any type of sexual activities, because even outside of the fact that that's your father, obviously that's also adultery, right? Because it doesn't matter if this is your father. It doesn't matter if it's someone that you don't know. The fact of the matter is this is a married woman, and she, if not married to you, is exclusive sexually with her husband. It says, the nakedness of thy sister, the nakedness of thy father or daughter of thy mother, right? Let's get the names for these things. Oh, I think all of these just fall under incest, right? So, I remember having those type of conversations, like, where's the limit? Oh, that's not really your brother, that's your half brother. No, if they come from one of your parents, they're still regarded as your sibling. Now, because we know we're reckoned by genealogy, and that genealogy is specifically through the man and through the seed, if you have a mother who has children by different men, if you happen to be one of those children, now you and that sibling, you're not of the same bloodline, right? Because she could have had a child with a man that was in Judah, and then she could have had a child with a man that was in Issachar. Maybe, her first husband died. And so, she remarries. Yeah, that's your brother or that's your sister, but you guys aren't of the same bloodline. They're going to continue on a different bloodline than you, right? It says, the nakedness of thy sister, the daughter of thy father, or daughter of thy mother, whether she be born at home or born abroad, even their nakedness thou shalt not uncover. So it doesn't matter if, you're seeing that person for the first time, both of you guys are 22, 25 years old, you don't really feel connected, you don't see each other that way, the law still reigns, right? That's an unlawful marriage and an inappropriate sexual relationship. Verse 11, the nakedness of thy father's wife's daughter, begotten of thy father, she is thy sister. Thou shalt not uncover her nakedness. So again, born of a different mother, still your sibling, right? Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy father's sister. She is thy father's near kinswoman. So the same thing with uncles and aunts, and that's more so what you see. Me personally, I've never heard so many instances of people engaging in any type of inappropriate dealings with their parents, but there's definitely, in the deepest of the trenches, unfortunately, there be relationships between an uncle and a niece, an aunt and a nephew. That's abominable. Not only is it disgusting on a personal level, but that's against what the Most High has said is okay when we partake in marriage. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy father's brother. Same thing with the uncles, right? Thou shalt not approach to his wife. She is thine aunt. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy daughter-in-law. She is thy son's wife. Thou shalt not uncover her nakedness. So the same thing goes when you're talking about vice versa, right? Again, it doesn't matter if that's your biological uncle or not, that's still adultery. So there's no sharing spouses, right? Unless it's women who are sharing a husband, there is no a nephew is able to sleep with his aunt. Oh, well, she's not technically family. She comes from a different bloodline. She's part of a different family. Once she's married to your uncle, which makes her her your aunt, that's unlawful, right? That's an unlawful type of relationship. Verse 15, your son-in-law, or excuse me, your daughter-in-law, thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy brother's wife. It is thy brother's nakedness. So that woman being his possession, also that is wrong. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of a woman and her daughter. Neither shalt thou take her son's daughter or her daughter's daughter to uncover her nakedness, for they are her near kinswoman. It is wickedness. So there are no relationships that are permitted where a man marries both a mother and a daughter, right? It said, nor her son's daughter, right? So a grandchild at that point. Now, maybe you're not that old. Maybe that woman's older than you. Nonetheless, once you've married into a generation, that's pretty much the generation that you have to stick with. You can't marry a daughter, then marry her mother, and vice versa. You can't marry a mother and marry her daughter. You can't marry a mother, and then you're like, okay, well, I'll skip the daughter, and then I'll get the granddaughter, because that mother has a son, and that son has a daughter, and y'all cool, and you're like, yeah, sure. Nope. You're not going to different generations. Say it again. Same thing, right? That's a great point. And if you have a daughter with her, which makes your daughter and her son siblings, and then you take her son's daughter, that's all type of confusion. That child looking at, okay, this is my dad, but then that's also my aunt, but then the man that laid with my grandmother to birth my aunt also wants me. That's just too much confusion, right? That's wrong. It says, for they are her near kinswomen, it is wickedness. So none of that type of stuff, right? Neither shalt thou take a wife to her sister to vex her, to uncover her nakedness beside the other in her lifetime. So we know that polygyny is perfectly fine, right? The scriptures never forbid polygyny. And we know that sister wives wasn't just, oh, this is my friend, but there were literally biological sisters in the scriptures. We see Rachel and Leah as a prominent example, right? So it's not that it's unlawful to marry two sisters or however many sisters within a family, but you can't uncover their nakedness at the same time. That's her near kinswomen. So the whole threesome and, you got two, that's not going to happen, right? They're siblings. They're too close together to each other. And there really isn't a reason for them to see each other's nakedness unless it's a medical reason. She's giving birth, and a midwife obviously has to look at what's going on down there, has to, check up, do, what do they call it? Not CPAPs, pap smears and all that kind of stuff. For medical reasons is the only reason why, a woman or a man should be exposing themselves to someone else outside of their spouses. If it's not regarding those reasons, you cannot, it says because it's vexing. That's inappropriate dealings, right? Where we at? Verse 19. Also, thou shalt not approach unto a woman to uncover her nakedness as long as she is put apart for her uncleanness. So, what in the world, what they call that? Running red lights. There's none of that, right? When a woman is unclean, her uncleanness is speaking about her period or her menstrual cycle. When a woman is unclean for her menstrual cycle, there is no putting a towel down and, properly covering up, none of that, right? When a woman is unclean for her nakedness, she's unclean for her nakedness. And you cannot approach her to try and be intimate with her while she's unclean. Now, we understand today, not that you can have sex with your wife, but she's still going to be in the house. She doesn't have to be put away and, hey, babe, you got to grab a tent, go sleep in the backyard because we can't have anything unclean in the house. We don't have the same temple, the priests, the sacrifices, the altar, the holy things that we had at this point in time. So you don't have to remove your wife from the house. It's not like you can't touch her, but you understand that anything that she sits on, anything that she touches at that point is unclean. But the unlawful part is if you're trying to have sex with her during that time that she's put away for her uncleanness. It says, moreover, thou shalt not lie carnally with thy neighbor's wife to defile thyself with her. So in the same sense, right? You cannot, so that's why I was mentioning earlier, because it's not just like it was a family thing. Anyone's wife is not permitted to be touched. And that's not just something you have to apply with Israel. We see within the scriptures with Joseph, that's something we have to apply with the heathen. Because why? We see Potiphar's wife, right? Potiphar was an Egyptian, was he not? He wasn't an Israelite. But guess what? His wife is still off limits. So adultery, theft, murder, all of these laws that we have amongst ourselves, they apply to the heathen. You can't rob a heathen. No, man, you're not one of my people, so I don't have to apply this law. You can't sleep with someone's wife that's a heathen. You just a Edomite. You're just a dog to the Most High. Anyway, absolutely. But the purpose of the law is to show the world the light. The purpose of the law is to set that right example and to show what righteousness looks like. How will the heathen believe on the Lord or even regard the Most High if they sit up here and they see you, doing all types of wickedness and doing all type of wrong, just as long as it's not with them? I'm sorry? Well, so there's a question in the classroom, could we say the same thing with usury? No. And the only reason why we can do usury is because the Most High specified with your people, you are not to use usury. However, with the heathen, that's when you can. I'm going to get that real quick just to reference it. Hold on one second. All praises. So that is, let me see. Let's go here real fast. Let's go to Deuteronomy. This is off topic, but it is a good question because there are certain instances, like say, for example, roadkill, right? We're not permitted to eat roadkill, and that's not what tonight's class is about. But he did say, well, you can go sell it to the heathen. So there are certain laws that pertain specifically and exclusively to an Israelite because you are holy, because you are putting a separation between the holy and the unholy, because you do need to have a separation between the profane and the holy. However, those laws are specified. Hey, this is one of the times where you can't do it and your people can't do it, but you can do it to the others, the other nations. 23. Okay, 23 and 19. Thou shalt not lend upon usury to thy brother, usury of money, usury of victuals, usury of anything that is lent upon usury. So again, this is one of the instances that the Lord specifies, because let's read on. Unto a stranger, verse 20, thou mayest lend upon usury. So like, I've been losing my voice these past few days. That the Lord thy God may bless thee in all that thou settest thine hand to in the land whither thou goest to possess it. So this is one of the instances in particular, you can go ahead and, how do I say? Not you can go ahead, but there's a differentiation and a specification made within the law between how you treat an Israelite and how you treat a heathen, right? But when those things apply, they're shown within the scriptures. So it's not for us to make the decision and make the determination, oh, well, I can just, bend certain laws as I see fit. He specifies, hey, don't lend usury upon your people. But guess what? If you have a business and you provide a service, let's just say you're a plumber, because I was just talking to someone about this today. If you're a plumber and you're doing work for one of your people, especially of the righteous, yeah, you might give them a fair price. Yeah, it's only going to take me an hour. I just got to do this and do that. It shouldn't be too much work. All right, it costs $400 to do. I'm gonna charge you $500. I'll just walk away with $100 for the day for doing my work. Now you do that same job for a heathen, an old whatever, right? Edomite, Ishmaelite, Moabite, Ammonite. And you say, oh, I know what type of job this is. It's real simple. I'm probably gonna spend $400 in materials, but I'm gonna charge you $1,000. You know why? Because you're not paying me for the labor I'm doing. You paying me for my expertise at this point. You're not one of my people. And it's not even like that's usury. You choose whether or not you want to pay this price. I'm not extorting you. Whatever it is, if you say no to me, you still have to go find someone else that's going to do it for you. But because you're not one of my people, absolutely, I'm about to get the bag. Absolutely. The same thing. Let's just say you opened up a bank or you were part of a financial institution where you lent money, right? You opened up in some super small town where most of the people are poverty stricken, but most of the people are also heathen. Oh, sure. Give them the 25, 36%, 50%, 150% interest rates that they give us. Because if you go to a check cashing place in the hood, which they're everywhere, and you take you a little $1,000 loan because you're a little short on rent, they want $2,100 back. So they don't have a problem doing that to you. Go ahead and do the same thing. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna lend you this $500, but tomorrow I need $600. And every day that you're late, it's $75. Hey, that's perfectly fine. But bringing it back to the lesson that we're talking about tonight, when it comes to unlawful marriages, you don't have the right to do that, right? Here, I'll give you another example. Let's go to Leviticus 19. Stay in Leviticus, flip over to chapter 19. And verse 29, it says, do not prostitute thy daughter to cause her to be a whore, lest the land fall to whoredom and the land become full of wickedness. Now, it doesn't say how whether or not how you conduct yourself with other nations, but obviously we understand we're not a nation of pimps, right? We're a nation of princes and of priests. So this is one of the things where he says not to do it to your people, but then he doesn't give authorization after that to say, but of an Edomite. Like, come on now, that would be ghetto as all ghetto. And on top of that, we already know the Israelite mind and the Israelite mentality. We didn't even do righteously very well. You're definitely not going to try and bring in some type of wickedness and then keep it restrained and keep it in some type of box. Oh, well, I only do, I'm only a pimp in Greece. No, right? The same way he says, thy daughter, not literally even just your daughter, but you're not to be a pimp. There's no authorization for that in the scriptures. That's also an unlawful form of marriage, and it causes the land to fall to wickedness, right? Because that one person, like if you take an adulterous relationship between two individuals who lust after each other, let's just say they're at the job. They're lusting after each other. They end up flirting, conversing, and acting. Well, now you have one adulterous man and one adulterous woman. But if you prostitute a woman, you gonna have how many people are gonna come and purchase? How many people are gonna come and consider themselves doing business, but they selling their souls? That's gonna cause the land to fall to wickedness. Now, if that woman services 100 different men, which I think is a pretty small number, considering the fact that they out there all day and night selling themselves to anybody for a price, you're gonna have how many adulterers by the end of that? How many adulteresses or how many instances of adultery by the end of that, right? So that when the Most High needs for things to be said, they're said. And when there's not a specific restriction or a specific implication, then he said, well, there's no law, there's no sin. But there's a lot of times in the scriptures where it's heavily implied or the authorization has not been given for us to engage. Again, we know even if it doesn't say a heathen here, the Most High don't want us to be pimps. That's not like, in what world would the Almighty God see fit for that to be the profession of an Israelite man? It's an unlawful interaction, right? Let's go back to Leviticus 18. So back to Leviticus 18, it says, verse 21, and thou shalt not let any of thy seed pass through the fire to Molech, neither shalt thou profane the name of thy God. I am the Lord. So that God was, or that idol, was an idol of child sacrifice, right? People believed that they were sacrificing unto this idol for fame, for fortune, that was just what it required, right? You still see a lot of those practices happening amongst like early civilization in the Americas, certain Aztec, Mayan, Inca civilizations that believed, oh, we're going to sacrifice someone and we're going to have a plentiful harvest this year. Guess what? That practice stems from a lot of the practices of the heathen, stems from child sacrifice, stems from, the belief system behind their idols. So because we're departing from the nations that practice these things, he said, look, don't bring that into the land either, right? Verse 22, thou shalt not lie with mankind as with womankind. It is abomination. So the same thing with homosexuality. Another instance where there was not a specification put on women, but you don't ever see anybody, any righteous women having some type of homosexual relationship. Clearly the law is showing us you're not to lie with the same gender as you. There is no lawful sexual interaction between two women, in the same sense as there's no lawful sexual interaction between two men, right? So you are not to lay with mankind as with womankind. That's an abomination to the Lord. So again, we're coming out of Egypt where they practiced that heavily. That wasn't some shocking anomaly. That wasn't some uncommon thing. And so much that it isn't uncommon today. It's not some, oh my goodness, a homosexual. I heard there's a homosexual in the West. They're all over the place, right? There's towns and provinces known for their homosexuality, known for drag, cross-dressing, and all other forms of abomination, right? Cities in California, cities in Georgia, right? All of these things, all of these places, these are abominations unto the Lord. And in the same way that he smote Sodom and Gomorrah for practicing these things, right? It says, verse 23, neither shalt thou lie with any beast to defile thyself therewith. So bestiality, that's an unlawful practice. There is no appropriate sexual interaction between a man or a woman and an animal. But again, they coming out of Egypt. So they believe in, a God with a head of a dog, the God with the member of this type of animal, a God with this type of lower half. They're not thinking these things are far-fetched, but that is an abomination to the Most High. And we see that those things not only are still taking place to this day, but years ago, this is probably, it's 2025, this is like maybe 2016, 2017, the U.S. military was signing into practice saying that bestiality was okay for their soldiers. So we're in the same predicament that our forefathers were in at one point, coming out of a land that has been defiled with wickedness, coming out of the land that has normalized these abominations, that has normalized being, against God. And there's a problem. Let me see. Let's go back to Leviticus 18. Verse 23, it says, neither shalt thou lie with any beast to defile thyself therewith, neither shall any woman stand before a beast to lie down thereto. It is confusion. Defile not ye yourselves in any of these things, for in all these the nations are defiled, which I cast out before you. The Most High said, look, it's these very same practices that makes those nations disgusting in his sight. He says, so that's why, because y'all are different, I don't want you to partake in any of the things that these heathens are doing. That's what defiles them. That's what has their land given to whoredom, has their land given to wickedness, causes them to err in his sight, right? Where was I? Verse 25. And the land is defiled. Therefore I do visit the iniquity thereof upon it. And the land itself vomiteth out her inhabitants. So oftentimes we don't see or understand these things, right? The average person, even before you get to an Israelite, but the average person, they live in their life. They going to do what they want to do. Well, those who are not awakened Israelites, the same thing, right? We take on a lot of these customs of the heathen that are against our God. They sit up here and, they do what they do. And maybe somebody says, man, this is wrong, I shouldn't. And then they get into a car accident or end up, being in the wrong place at the wrong time. And they say, man, I was on my way to do wickedness. Now I know it's God. But for the most part, people die all the time. Accidents, car accidents, health issues, brain aneurysms and heart attacks and underlying illnesses. And the whole time, the Most High is saying it's because they continue to live abominable ways. Showing you, even in the midst of having a people, he's judging the heathen. They're also living and dying all around us at all times, right? And it's according to his judgments. The scriptures show us that the Lord said, I kill and I make alive. I wound and I heal. So the other nations aren't going to call it to their minds, and many of our people, unfortunately, aren't going to call it to their minds to say, oh man, this is happening because I'm doing some type of wickedness. But the Lord is saying, look, that's happening to them because they're doing some type of wickedness, right? Back to Leviticus 18:26. Ye shall therefore keep my statutes and my judgments, and shall not commit any of these abominations, neither any of your own nation, nor any stranger that sojourneth among you. So not only are we not to do these things to ourselves, we are not to do these things to the heathen. And if a heathen dwells amongst us, because that's, a big topic in Israel, right? Oh, can the heathens get salvation? No, I don't ever see where they've been given what has been promised to Israel, even if they have to follow along with what we have going. Because if a heathen is anywhere near us, let's just say you got, heathen servants, they still have to keep the law. You can't take a mentality of, hey, I see this, I got this Edomite in the back, he living in the back house, but, I see him running women in and out of his house every day. But, that's his business. Nah, you my servant, you subject to whatever it is that I practice within my house. And in this house, we practice in righteousness. You cannot just be, living willy-nilly, eating pork and committing adultery and all this other type of stuff. Because then what does that do to you when they come and serve you? And they been dealing with and eating pork all day. Now they serving you your plate. They are fornicators, and now they coming around and dealing with and hanging up your clothes. Man, you unclean. You're abominable. I don't even want you dealing with my personal belongings. You got to go. Any of the heathen that dwelt amongst us, they had to practice our laws, and they were not given suddenly the same promises that have been made to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob because of that. It says, for all these abominations have the men of the land done, which were before you, and the land is defiled, that the land spew not you out also when you defile it, as it spewed out the nations that were before you. So the Most High said he even viewed the land as defiled because all of these things were happening in a specific region. That's how the Most High is thinking. We probably don't even regard that stuff, right? We walk on the ground. Yeah, most people don't walk barefoot outside. But we walk around, and live our lives, and then you've been walking on this defiled land. It's prostitutes. It's people eating pork. It's murders that are happening in this land. You walk around on that all day. And then you walk around in your house in them same shoes. He like, nah, The Most High thinking differently. Even if those type of acts were taking place within a specific place, he said even the land that act was taking place on, it's defiled, it's disgusting. That's why he couldn't wait to get the heathen up out of Israel, because they were doing those things in his holy land. If he doesn't like that happening anywhere on any type of land, imagine how much more it bothered him that it was happening in the holy land. Verse 29, for whosoever shall commit any of these abominations, even the souls that commit them shall be cut off from among their people. Therefore shall ye keep mine ordinances, that ye commit not any of these abominable customs which were committed before you, and that ye defile not yourselves therein. I am the Lord. Let me see if I can find, I've been looking for something for a few minutes. Bear with me, Israel. Let's go to Proverbs 5. Proverbs 5 and verse 20. So this is talking about, marriage, a woman, and how she was behaving, right? It says, verse 20, and why wilt thou, my son, be ravished with a strange woman, and embrace the bosom of a stranger? For the ways of man are before the eyes of the Lord, and he pondereth all his goings. His own iniquity shall take the wicked himself, and he shall be holden with the cords of his sins. He said, why would you partake or lay with a woman that's too defiled, right? That's not something that's advisable. And it's not like that's far-fetched. Even today, even if you in the world, this is how you know, like, these things are oftentimes innately within us, because they're in principles and in mentalities and ideals that we practice amongst ourselves. If you got a son, you love your son, and he bring home a woman that she got a past. I don't know too much about her, but that, you know what I'm saying? And no disrespect to those who live that life, if you've repented. But there's those telltale signs, right? Hey, she got the lower back tattoo. She got the lower stomach tattoo right above, her bladder. You, son, I don't want you to be involved in that type of relationship. And I'll do you one better. There actually is law regarding priests. That's not just a preference. There's actual laws that come in. So for those in the community which we can prove are not Levites, let's go to Leviticus chapter 21. Starting at verse 1, it says, and the Lord said unto Moses, speak unto the priests, the sons of Aaron, and say unto them, there shall none be defiled for the dead among his people, but for his kin that is near unto him, that is for his mother and his father, and for his son, and for his daughter, and for his brother, and for his sister a virgin that is nigh unto him, which hath had no husband, for her may he be defiled. So if you were a Levite, you could, that's when, we need to be extremely careful about who's coming, who's going, where you're going, and where you're coming from. Because if you were a Levite, the sons of the sons of Aaron, and you're performing in the priesthood, you couldn't even go to funerals. Hey, grandma died. Damn, grandma died. Let me see. Let me look in the law. Let me see. Mother, father, son, daughter, brother. Or sister that is a virgin who had no husband. Your sister passed away, but she had a husband? Nah. Let her husband, she became a part of a new family. Let them grieve her. You a Levite, you a priest, that's not your place. You're not going to that funeral. You couldn't become unclean for really any reason, not voluntarily, unless it was intimacy with your wife on your days off from if you was either getting home from the priesthood or you was already, I'm not going in today, or whatever the case may be. Maybe you're not on the schedule, right? But outside of that, you couldn't even go to certain funerals. So for those that call themselves priests, for one, I'm going to see if you measure up to this. Have you been to funerals, and have they been of your nearest of kin? Then drop down, it says, verse 6, they shall be holy unto their God and not profane the name of their God. For the offerings of the Lord made by fire and the bread of their God they do offer, therefore they shall be holy. So you could never, or you had to be extremely careful so that you never defiled a priest that was going before the Lord to make these offerings, or to deal with these holy vessels, or to bake the bread that was going to be in the house of the Lord. They couldn't come in there defiled. So you had to be very careful. Oh, that woman's unclean. She better keep her distance, because I can't, as a priest, I can't be unclean for any reason. Verse 7, they shall not take a wife that is a whore or profane. So if you're a priest, which there's a lot of people in this community that, because they're born in a certain place of the world, which isn't scriptural, they'll say, oh, I'm a priest, I'm a Levite. And not only can you not validate that, but if that's the case, what type of resume does your wife have? What type of background does your wife have? If you're a holy man, if you're a priest unto the Most High, you couldn't just take any old type of woman. Oh, she's so cool. Oh, she's so funny. Oh, she's so cute. No, she's had quite a promiscuous past. No, she came from all these different dealings. She came from being, in a street life or whatever the case may be. She came from being used or being exploited. As a priest, you cannot take that woman as a wife. And I wouldn't even risk it. No, if you claim to be a priest, I wouldn't even risk it if that woman used to be. Oh, was she different now? I wouldn't put my money on that, because she's already been that. So yeah, she can give her life, her soul to Christ, but that can't be your wife, because you're holy. It says, or profane, neither shall they take a woman put away from her husband, for he is holy unto his God. So, in Deuteronomy 24, it talks about if a man were to put away his wife, she was able to go her way and remarry, right? At this time, while these things are being practiced, there were instances of that happening. And even if that was the case, and she's done wrong or whatever the case may be, he treated her unfair, well, you still can't take that woman as your wife, because you're too holy for that to be the case. That's an unlawful marriage. Let me see. Even in verse 9, and the daughter of any priest, if she profane herself by playing the whore, she profaneth her father, she shall be burnt with fire. Now, mind you, there's already a law for adultery, right? There's already a law saying that if those that are caught in adultery, they should be put to death. But he specifies, look, even if you associate with the priest, oh, I'm just daughter of the priest. Like, you couldn't just be any old type of woman. You couldn't just have any old type of behavior. You couldn't just have any old type of past. You couldn't have any old type of sexual dealings and interactions. Right? It says to profane, a primitive root, properly to bore, to wound by implication, to dissolve, to break one's word, to defile, right? Slaying sorrow, stain wound, all of those things, you couldn't just do that. So it wasn't just a free-for-all, especially when it came down to the priesthood. Somebody said, so with certain, nowadays, with certain tattoos, and just even with certain dressings, let's go to Proverbs 7 real fast. Because it's like, oh, what does that mean? Well, the reality is, I can't tell everything based off of how a person looks, but I can for sure start to, like the scripture say, guess at my neighbor. Let me see, Proverbs 7, and I'm going to start at verse 10. It says, behold, there met him a woman with the attire of an harlot and subtle of heart. The attire of a harlot is what? She advertising. 55 degrees outside, she got on a mini skirt. 55 degrees outside, she got on some sheer clothing so you can see everything that you're looking to purchase. It's raining outside. She got an umbrella up, and she still got a crop top and some booty shorts on. That's the attire of a harlot. And it don't have to be cold. The attire where you're showing everything off. That's the attire of an harlot, right? So again, this has been so commonly used and normalized in today's society. But these things, the scriptures say there is such a thing as an attire of a harlot, in the same way that there's such a thing as the attire of the righteous and a shamefaced woman. So you could guess at your neighbor, look, oh, you got certain tattoos. You probably came from a certain background. You probably came from certain interactions and certain dealings. Nah, I don't have to sit up here and I ain't got to talk about you or disrespect you or treat you like you less than. You here and you trying to repent, you trying to do right according to the Most High, then I welcome you as a brother or a sister. But for your own dealings, you should say, oh, yeah, she got one of them tattoos and one of them spots that's known for women who are being promiscuous. That's the thing. People always want to have the freedom of, oh, I just want to be me. And then, okay, cool. But when you start to be associated with a certain looking person because you're looking like that person, then who can you be mad at besides yourself? When you start to get associated with a certain group of people, just like if you was to go out and you like, man, I don't know, my favorite color is blue. By all means, but we in L.A. You throw on a blue L.A. cap, man. You throw on a blue New York cap. You get a blue Letterman jacket, blue and white. You got on a white T-shirt. You got on some black jeans and some Cortezes. And a chain on. It ain't even got to be chunky. You got a little chain on. Guess what? Ooh. You have a certain attire that would lead me to believe you live a certain lifestyle. I probably wouldn't go that way. Let me see if I can go out. Ain't no point in let me test my manhood and test his man. I'm going to go this way. I'm just avoid the danger. That's what the scriptures say a wise man going to do. So the same thing, if you see certain attire that a woman is putting on, yeah, you within your right to guess, I probably wouldn't get too close because I see the things that this woman is doing that typically only promiscuous women do. Certain phrases, certain markings, certain clothing. All of these things are things that you can utilize to say, hey, this is more than likely this type of person. Again, it doesn't give you the right to treat them wrong and you just come off the streets. Nah, that's a brother or sister in Christ if they choose to repent. And until they do, I'm trying to win them over. But definitely, I'm gonna take a little bit of a mental note of what I see you, how you've presented yourself. It's only right. That's only fair. Right? Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 6. starting at verse 12. It says, all things are lawful unto me, but all things are not expedient. All things are lawful for me, but I will not be brought under the power of any. Meats for the belly, and belly for the meats. But God shall destroy both it and them. Now the body is not for fornication, but for the Lord, and the Lord for the body. Drop down to, actually, verse 15. Know ye not that your bodies are the members of Christ? Shall I then take the members of Christ and make them the members of an harlot? God forbid. Because guess what? A harlot is that's a woman that doesn't respect herself and doesn't respect her body. And there are unfortunate instances of being forced into that lifestyle, right? Being trafficked. Because wickedness has exceeded so much upon the earth, there's all type of reasons why people are where they are, why things are the way that they are, right? It's that light switch by the computer. But there are all different reasons why that happens, right? So again, not knowing the situation, there's an opportunity for mercy or for compassion, and there's an opportunity for repentance, right? But if you know better, and you know you're an Israelite, that's why it's important for a woman to dress modestly. You shouldn't sit up here and match or resemble anything that's in the world. If you have a certain figure about yourself, and you can't hide the fact that you're attractive or shapely, okay, perfectly fine. But guess what? Don't sit up here and think of it as, I got to dress like a granny. Embrace righteousness and virtue. If you put a case on your phone because you want it to be covered up and protected, you got a screen protector on your phone because you want it to be covered up and protected. You got insurance on your car because you want it to be covered up and protected. You got curtains on your windows. If you don't mind anybody just walking up and being able to see what's in your house, what's the point of putting blinds and putting windows up? But you want it to be covered up and protected. So the same thing with your body. Don't consider it dressing like a granny. You're covering and protecting yourself. That's a body that is a temple of Christ. You cannot present yourself any type of way. You cannot mark up your body. You can't just, you don't want to be associated with the wickedness of the things that are in the world. It says, verse 16, what? Know ye not that he which is joined to an harlot is one body? For two, saith he, shall be one flesh. So that's not a practice I would ever, even if it's not my son, I don't encourage brothers to, hey, I understand. Look, what's the saying? There's plenty of fish in the sea. I'm not saying a woman that has that type of past is unworthy of love, but, that doesn't necessarily need to be your role. They can repent, at that point it's your preference and that's your decision. But the scriptures tell us, look, if you join a harlot, you're made as one. So for those that are practicing fornication within our nation, the Most High said basically they're whores. They can be men. Guess what? You're a man hoe. Joining yourself unto harlots. That is not a lawful practice for us to be partaking in. It says, but he that is joined unto the Lord is one spirit. Flee fornication. Every sin that a man doeth is without the body. But he that committeth fornication sinneth against his own body. So fornication is just any immoral act of sex. That is bestiality. That's incest. That's adultery, so on and so forth. All of those are immoral and unlawful acts of sex, right? That should not be taking place amongst any of those that consider themselves even remotely righteous of our people. He said, I don't want you to sit up here and even join yourself with certain people. See, I think verse 19, he says, what? Know ye not that your body is the temple of the Holy Ghost which is in you, which ye have of God, and ye are not your own. So absolutely, the Most High don't want us to, some people you're going to have to kind of go around and, that's just not for you because you holy. Last thing let's go into 1 Corinthians chapter 7, right? starting at verse 1. It says, now concerning the things whereof ye wrote unto me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. So, if you're a man that, and some men are like this, even though for whatever reason, once brothers come into this walk, it seems to become instantly more difficult. Because when you was out there doing your wickedness, you wasn't on Satan's radar. You might not have. I knew a brother that for whatever reason, he said, man, it's been like 5 years since I've had any dealings with a woman. And within like a year of coming into the walk, he had him a wife, maybe less than that. So the urges start, because when you was in the world and you smoking weed and you breaking the Sabbath and you eating pork and you keeping Thanksgiving and Christmas and all that, Satan don't need to really tempt you. Because for one, you go in and fulfilling all your temptations anyway. But he also doesn't need to break your spirit because you already on his team. Once you put away the sin, all right, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be in these environments. I'm not partaking of these things. Now all of a sudden, the temptation sets in. Now all of a sudden, the trials set in, and things that you might not have ever experienced or haven't experienced in quite some time, they're suddenly befalling you, right? He says, so look, if you're able to abstain and you don't, it's not just tearing you apart on the inside or, tempting you to go and do even worse, because that's what usually happens. Matter of fact, let me read the next verse. He said, verse 2, nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife and let every woman have her own husband. And that's not saying that a man only can have, or the woman has to have her own individual husband. That is your own husband, even if you have 2 or 3 sister wives. That is still your husband, and each one of y'all is still his wife. But he's saying, hey, if you can, absolutely, focus on the things that are the Lord's. I'm going to read down. Actually, he goes on. That's further down. But basically, he said, if you can abstain, by all means, because that's a good thing. Actually, I do want to get that verse. I'm sorry. Let me get that verse real fast. He says, I'm looking for it, but it says, because the unmarried, here it is, verse 32. But I would have you without carefulness. He that is unmarried careth for the things that belongeth to the Lord, how he may please the Lord. But he that is married careth for the things that are of the world, how he may please his wife. So it's not that when you get married, you suddenly aren't a servant of the Lord and, the Lord should be the last on your mind. No, but you're spending a lot of your time with someone every single day. So whereas you might wake up and you might say, okay, I'm going to sit here for 15 minutes. I'm going to meditate. Oh, let me make sure I pray. Or while I'm meditating, because I just woke up and I'm just kind of staring at the ceiling, thinking about all the things that I have to do today. Oh, yeah, I got to go over here. Oh, man, let me pray about this. Those are the things that you can do when you are subject to your own thoughts. But if you wake up and you got a husband or a wife that comes in the room, hey, good morning, baby. Man, come on, get your clothes on. I'm starving. I've been waiting on you to get up. Guess what? Your day is not going to immediately be occupied with the things that you think of. You're going to care for the things that are in the world. That husband, that wife, they're going to care for, things that they want for you to do, certain things that how they want you to behave, how they want you to represent them. You're not just solely thinking what is desired of the Lord. You have someone that is now having expectations of you, right? But he said to avoid fornication, basically marry, and there's nothing wrong with it. He said, let the husband render unto the wife due benevolence, and likewise also the wife, let the husband render unto the wife due benevolence, and likewise also the wife unto her husband. The wife have not power of her own body, but the husband, and likewise also the husband have not power of his own body, but the wife. So it's not saying, hey, I control every single thing about you. You have some type of issue, you having some type of pain, it doesn't matter, this is my body. We're not supposed to be doing that, lording over each other or abusing each other. But you are not within your right righteously to sit up here and abstain from doing things from your wife or for your husband. That's not right. right? And he goes on to explain it. Defraud ye not one the other, because guess what? We both need these encouraging words. Israel as a whole needs exhortation. We both need kindness, care, concern, and love. So continue to render those things unto your spouse and unto your loved one, right? And don't defraud them of their desires. You might have a wife that, hey, she want to be intimate 3 times a day. As much as you can keep up, you're supposed to. You can't get mad at her in an argument and be like, you know what, tomorrow, don't touch me. That's not right. Because now she might feel tempted and, man, I don't want to go this route. I don't want to feel this way. I have a husband. I should be able to go to him and have these desires fulfilled, because that's the lawful way that has been authorized in the Bible. So he said, defraud ye not one another, except it be with consent for a time, that ye may give yourselves to fasting and prayer, and come together again, that Satan tempt you not for your incontinency. Same thing, right? Now, if a wife says, hey, babe, I want to fast. I've been kind of struggling with things within my mind. I need 3 days. It said, okay, you know what? Let's consent. I can absolutely abstain for 3 days. And once you get off your fast, or maybe the morning after, whatever the case may be, back to our regularly scheduled program. But if it's for righteousness, if it's not for a specific cause or for some type of righteousness, medical issue, something of that nature, there is no righteous way you can cut your spouse off from intimacy, from kindness, from that love, right? Unless, of course, they decide to depart or they're full-blown into wickedness. Now, if you just ate a pork sandwich, I'm not kissing you. I'm not laying with you. You got to go. If you breaking the Sabbath, hey, I need some counsel. I need some advice. I need to see what's my next move, because we don't break the Sabbath in this house. Whatever the case may be, right? Unless it's pertaining unto law, we're not to do these things out of personal preference. And he said the whole thing is we're a team. We trying to help each other get to the kingdom. So if a man comes out of the world and he like, look, because there are brothers who that's the reality of their circumstance. Man, I used to have a new woman damn near every day, if not every week. Man, I used to have a rotation, 20 of them at least at a time, where I'm going out with them and, we whining and dining. I'm going to the beach if I'm broke, and I'm knocking them down. I'm doing what I do. Sometimes that is a brother's testimony, and then he comes into the truth and he gets a wife and he's insatiable. Well, guess what? You're his wife. You're who's supposed to fulfill those desires for him, so he doesn't fall back into doing some type of wickedness, so that he doesn't fall back into partaking of fornication. That's strategic, right? It says, but I speak this by permission and not of commandment. So he said, look, but ultimately he still got permission. Hey, I think this is needful to be written in the scripture. And he says, okay, so this isn't necessarily something that is worthy of death per se. This isn't something, if you have in practice or if you struggle with, it's an immediate death penalty or it's an abomination. But this is definitely something that's permissible for Paul to have spoke. It says, for I would that all men were even as I myself. But every man had this proper gift of God, one after this manner and one after that. So Paul, after being called by Yahushua, Paul decided to be a eunuch. He said, look, I'm just not going to take a wife. He was all about this mission. He was all about continuing on with the messages and the teachings of Christ. It says, but if they cannot contain, let them marry, for it is better to marry than to burn. So, if you come into the truth and you like, man, I just want to do this work. I want to do this work. All praises. And if that's realistic for you to be able to do, and you can contain yourself, man, Godspeed. But for most people, it's everywhere. You see couples everywhere. You see love everywhere, lust everywhere. You see sex scenes on TV. Even if you're watching something about superheroes, all of a sudden somebody they heavy breathing and all that type of stuff, swapping spit, cold winters and cold nights. You like, man, it is. I am getting kind of lonely. I would like some company. I would like someone to share this meal with. Dang, this room is kind of big for just one person. I am starting to have these fleshly urges where I definitely want my desire satiated. He said, look, if that is the case, because that's typically the case for a lot of people, you haven't sinned and you're not suddenly wicked because you choose to go and marry. It says, and unto the married I command, yet not I, but the Lord. So remember, he said, look, I'm commanding, but it's really not me. The Lord is telling me to say these things and to record these things for y'all to read. Let not the wife depart from her husband, but if she depart, let her remain unmarried or be reconciled to her husband, and let not the husband put away his wife. So if you're having schisms, you're having issues, and for whatever reason the wife says, you know what, suffering real abuse, real problems, things of that nature, you getting righteous counsel, and hey, you know what, if your life is really in danger, it probably is best for you to not be there. She goes and she gets her own place, she moves out. That doesn't mean you can suddenly go and be with another man, right? It says, and either she should be reconciled to her husband or remain unmarried, right? But to the rest speak I, not the Lord. If any brother hath a wife that believeth not, and she be pleased to dwell with him, let him put her not away. So if you have a wife and she says, look, I don't really believe the way that you believe. I don't really feel pulled the way you feel pulled. And I don't feel the same level of obligation. But look, we've been together for all these years, probably got kids, probably got paperwork involved. It's going to be just such an ugly time in both of our lives to lose, our best friend. And, you might really have that beautiful marriage and that beautiful connection. I don't want to try to figure out, splitting up the cars, splitting up the bank accounts, splitting up the value of the house. Let's just stay together. What do I have to do? I can't eat pork. Okay, well, what can I do? Beef bacon? All right, I'll give it a try. If she's in that state of mind and she's deciding that she's going to be pleased to dwell with him, meaning she's going to acquiesce to the law for his sake, then he said, look, don't put her away. Now, if she's sneaking and eating pork sandwiches and sneaking and wearing pants and working on the Sabbath, and she's sitting up here willfully going to keep Christmas and every opportunity she gets, she trying to go and do something that's wicked, sleeping with other men, or hey, they're at that point, look, you're not pleased to dwell and you're not a believer, and there is going to come a point of a cutoff, right? It says, for the unbelieving wife, verse 13, and the woman which hath an husband that believeth not, and if he be pleased to dwell with her, let her not leave him. So if you got a husband, you coming into the truth, oh, wow, look at these men that are teaching the Bible, or he's street teaching. Oh, there's, you like the intelligence or whatever the case may be, you're drawn in. And you say, well, my husband's not that. Now it's kind of my chance to go shopping. Well, not if he's pleased to dwell. Again, if he's willful and he's sneaking off to do wickedness at every opportunity that he sees, he refuses to acquiesce to the commandments, yeah, there has to be a cutoff. But if this man is saying, you know what? We've been together for so long, or, I love you regardless of what you believe in. So if I got to sit up here and start wearing fringes and, cut off the pork and cut off working on the Sabbath, and I got to make some adjustments in my life, I'm willing to do whatever it takes for us. Then it says, let her stay with him, right? For the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife, and the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband. Else were your children unclean, but now are they holy. But if the unbelieving depart, let him depart. So, let me finish this up. It says a brother or sister is not under bondage in such cases, but God hath called us to peace. So, let's just say you got a relationship. Y'all was in the world together. Y'all coming into, oh, snap, we Israelites. Okay, we here now. We here with it. We together. Now, one starts to stop their faith. Or their faith declines. They stop believing. And eventually they get to a point of being a full-blown non-believer. And you like, look, I got, my son in fringes. I got him on a holy diet. He not eating pork. He not eating shrimp, crab, lobster. He not partaking in idolatrous feast. But now you trying to bring Christmas in. You trying to take my son or my daughter around your family to go celebrate the so-called, the idolatrous feasts that we understand are against the Lord. You trying to give my baby pork at your mom? Oh, no, I can't let you do that. You got to go. You've made your decision. You've clearly chosen what it is that you want to do. You got to go. It says, now, if that person departs, now that could be the husband in that instance, right? If the husband is the one that's doing wickedly and the wife is saying, no, babe, look, I'm going to follow the Lord regardless. I'm not going to go over there with you to your family house and keep Christmas. I'm not going to go over there to your family house and keep Thanksgiving. I'm not going over there to keep Valentine's Day or whatever else that he may believe in. I'm not going over there. It says if he decides, you know what, then we're not going to be in this relationship. It's not working out. And we can't dwell in the same house because I keep trying to put this Christmas tree up and you keep putting it back outside. So I'm out. You go do your little Israelite thing and I'm done with this relationship. At that point, that woman doesn't have to remain unmarried for the rest of her life. Because it says a brother or sister is not under bondage, because that sucks, right? That feels super unfair. Like, man, I was with this person. Let's just say you was with that person for 10 years. Man, we was high school sweethearts. We from 16 to 26 or from 26 to 36, we was together. 5 years ago, we had our first child. We got 2 kids. I'm trying to keep our kids focused on righteousness, keeping the commandments and following after the Lord. And he trying to get them to go keep Christmas and all other type of folly. If he decides to leave, that woman doesn't say, or she's not in a predicament where, oh my God, I can never be married again. That means she could never be intimate unless she's going and sleeping with this wicked man. And if he consider himself single and he eating pork and all other type of stuff, breaking the Sabbath, he probably out there going back to the hookup culture and, getting under somebody to feel better. What do they say? To get over somebody, you get under somebody else. They probably already, it's probably all that. If that be the case, she shouldn't return and be laying with that adulterous man. He don't even believe in the Lord. He's not a new creature in Christ. He don't even believe and accept Yahweh Shai or the law. It says in that instance, a brother or a sister, you're not bound by that. Same thing if a man, if he's going through a circumstance where the law is no longer agreed upon within his household, this woman is potentially going and sleeping with other men. That's adultery. You can't be like, oh, man, there's a pretty sister in my church. She's so good with my kids, or she's so kind unto me. She really seemed like she's righteous. She really about these laws, statutes, and commandments. And I don't see her behaving herself outside of these scriptures. She has the right spirit. But I can't, be with her because I have this wife somewhere else. You're not under bondage. You're not stuck trying to go back to this wicked wife that's sleeping with these other men, eating pork, breaking Sabbaths, keeping idolatrous feasts. You're not bound in that case, in that type of bondage. That would be super unfair. You could pretty much never be intimate again. You can't have your friend back. You can't. All of the things that come with a marriage and all of the things that are here for us to be able to enjoy, that are our portion in this life, as the scriptures say, they would be off limits. So he said, look, if the unbelieving decides to depart, let them depart. And if they continue to get worse and there is no reconciliation that's possible, then you're not under bondage at that point. Why would you, oh man, I just can't contain my flesh. It's been so long since I've just been embraced the way that he embraces me. I'm going to just go back over there to the abuse. I'm going to just go back over there to the wickedness. I'm going to just go back over there and he just ate a salami sandwich and the whole house smelled like shrimp. But I really need my fix. You're not under bondage. You don't have to try and return to that wicked person and allow them to defile you or to destroy your faith and defile your spirit because they're partaking in abominable things. Because guess what? That's more than likely what's going to end up happening is they're going to pull you into their world. The scriptures say we're not under bondage in such cases. So now, of course, just that's why he said all things are lawful but not expedient. It can't be a situation where out of convenience, oh, she giving me problems. Oh, we got into an argument. Man, she don't believe the scriptures like I believe. I'm gonna just put her away, and I'm not under bondage. You got to get righteous counsel. You really need those that are righteous around you that really live according to this word to show you what righteously those frustrating moments should look like. Because Paul said we're going to have, what do you say? Troubles according to the flesh. So that's not a foreign thing, even though it's ideally not going to happen in a righteous household. But there's a way that those things have to be handled so that the land isn't given to fornication. Because you can't just turn around, oh, I lay with this woman, and she told me that she was probably going to be down with it, but now that she's actually got me, she's suddenly not interested. Well, guess what? You got some experience from that. There may be an opportunity for mercy because maybe you were just naive, or, if a brother 3 months into knowing he's an Israelite, come on now. You don't know what's going on. You don't even fully understand the law and understand what's permissible. So you need an opportunity to learn and to be built up. But now if you go and you do that 4 or 5 times, or you done been in this walk for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, and you take a woman that is not willing to submit herself and be your wife, well, you should have known better. And at that point, I don't. It's case by case, right? But you should have known better, and you should be a lot more careful because you've already seen so many instances of marriages not working out, of unlawful marriages, of fornication, right? So don't utilize the law and the fact that there is some instances where you're not under bondage to just go jump in bed with somebody who look good, who talk a little bit of a good game, and they not even gonna repent. Now you done defiled yourself. Now you done added another soul to your soul ties, to your body count, and you don't even have a husband or a wife to show for it. Well, that's wickedness. That's wrong. And like I said, especially if you know better, because that's what that's what some brothers end up doing, right? Oh, she behaved like this, she dressed like this. Oh man, I'm just finding out she got an OnlyFans. Just finding out? How long did y'all talk before y'all got together? You didn't know anything about this woman when you was getting ready to, you was just too excited to try and look even into a little bit of what she got going on? You might be able to get some mercy, if you brand new or you really just don't know better, but you done already had how many of those experiences? 3 different women, 3 different husbands since you've been in this truth that after they get with you, they say they don't want to keep the commandments. Hey, at that point, you're crossing, either you're crossing or you've already been crossed into fornication territory. And in which case, that's wickedness. That's not you utilizing the law for not to be under bondage. That's you utilizing the law to fulfill your temptations and your lusts and, twisting the word of the Lord. So all praises to the Most High, Israel. I hope this has been informative. I hope this has also been clear. If you're a part of this body, we obviously have a panel. We have counsel. If you have questions about your marriage, if you have questions about an interest, or whatever the case may be, seek counsel. Go and see what it is that would be the better decision for you so that you don't fall into cases of adultery or fornication, unlawful acts of marriage, right? Because you're looking to sincerely be married, but it still has to be done right nonetheless. All praises to the Most High. Please continue to tune in with us through the week. We have class World History tomorrow, 7:30, same time. And then, we have our full Sabbath lineup starting on Friday through Saturday from both here at headquarters as well as Bishop Yazequel out in Macon. Shalom, Israel.
If it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'd be. Mr. Wilson would've known. Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me. So good to me. Yeah. Wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness. Yahweh's been good to me. So good to me. Every morning that I rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my fringes. 1611 with me cause I'm on a mission. Talking sheep, I pay to cost me and my lines really live it. I don't need no glory, you don't have to know my story. Glad I made it out this world cause this world was never for me. I thought that I was